Musk has once again said that Taiwan is a part of China. And I say once again because it's not the first time he's said it. So let's see what he has to say this time.
China has, well, really since for like half a century or so, maybe longer at this point, their policy has been to sort of reunite Taiwan with China. From this standpoint, maybe it's analogous to like Hawaii or something like that, like an integral part of China that is.
Ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. What is it with these weird celebrities sticking their noses in where they're not wanted? Now, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll all obviously know that I truly believe that Taiwan is not a part of communist China. Taiwan has its own separate government, military, currency, laws, free healthcare, freedom of speech, civil rights, civil liberties, freedom of religion, freedom of press, and so on. It has nothing to do with communist China and hasn't done for over 70 years. So why does CEO of Tesla, the owner and CTO of Twitter, or as it's now known as X, Mr. Elon Musk, feel the need to say that Taiwan is a part of China? Well, what do you all think? Could it be anything to do with money, perhaps? Well, we all know that Elon really wants to sell his Tesla electric cars, right? And what better market is there than the 1.4 billion Chinese people? Tesla's share of China's electric vehicle market almost doubled in August of this year. They sold 64,694 cars in China in the month of August alone, and that's a hell of a lot of cars. To say that Elon Musk has a massive stake in China is an understatement. But this still doesn't explain why Elon is getting all political and saying that Taiwan belongs to China. Now, I want to explain something. Doing business with China is a bit different than doing business with any other normal country. If you want to tap into that huge Chinese market, you have to first deal with the Chinese Communist Party, an authoritarian government that limits its people's freedoms to a point where even if you criticize the government slightly, you could still land yourself in some serious trouble. This same authoritarian government censors the internet, controls all media, including social media, persecutes religion, pushes its propaganda far and wide, even to an English-speaking audience. The CCP over the last 74 years has created a government that makes George Orwell's 1984 look like a utopian paradise, and I'm not even joking. Now, if you want to do business in China, then the only way you're going to do so is by cooperating with the Chinese Communist Party. And if that means toeing the party line, then so be it. And this is exactly what Elon Musk is doing. The problem for Elon is that doing business with the devil can be precarious at best. In this case, the devil is the Chinese Communist Party, and they will burn you and your product into a pile of ashes and piss on them, and there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. Think about it like this. The CCP controls the media in China, and therefore it has full control over the narrative. If they wish, they can end your company at the snap of a finger. A good case study to explain all of this would be H&M and Nike and the constant trouble that they've had in the Chinese market. Both of these companies have felt the wrath of the Chinese Communist Party because they refuse to use cotton from Xinjiang province. You know where Xinjiang province is, right? That place in western China where the CCP is committing a cultural genocide against the Uyghurs and using them for forced labor to produce the cotton that Nike and H&M were using. Well, Nike and H&M refused to use that cotton, and the Chinese Communist Party didn't like that at all and unleashed their army of nationalists onto Nike and H&M, and it wasn't pretty. The CCP encouraged a boycott on these brands, and all over Chinese social media you'd see videos talking about how terrible these companies are, and even some people went as far as burning the products, and all because they went against the CCP's narrative and didn't want to buy cotton from forced labor? Oh, the humanity! The Chinese Communist Party can't handle the truth and punishes anybody who dares challenge their ridiculous claim that Taiwan belongs to them. Now, there's a whole list of celebrities and politicians that are banned from entering China by the Chinese Communist Party because they dared to speak up against the tyranny of the CCP. The reasons given for banning these people were things such as supporting Tibet, starring in a movie about Tibet, liking a tweet. Twitter is banned in China. Just let that sink in for a minute. And discussing the ongoing genocide in Western China. And the list goes on and on and on. And that is why some of these celebrities have been banned. Now, Nike and H&M and all of these celebrities, they're not the first to deal with the wrath of the CCP. And they certainly won't be the last. And that includes Tesla, believe it or not. Fairly recently, Tesla vehicles were banned from an airport's car park in China due to security reasons. There are even videos of Teslas being arbitrarily pulled over by Chinese police on highways, and this is the country that Elon Musk wants to do business with? A country whose government will arbitrarily shut you down for no other reason than they don't like what you said. And yet Elon still wants to do business with China because it still has over 1 billion potential customers. Even though the country is ran by a lunatic dictator on the same level as North Korea's Kim Jong-un, who will ban Elon's product on a whim, because there's this chance that he could even sell his cars to 1/4 of that population, then it's totally worth throwing away any principles that he might have for some of that Mao Zedong money. Now, one thing that I find interesting is that the Chinese Communist Party won't even allow Elon's potential Tesla customers to use his social media website Twitter. Sorry, I keep calling it Twitter. It's called X now, right? Anyway, X is one of the many websites that is blocked in China because the Chinese Communist Party is too afraid of the average Chinese person being able to read a bit of news that isn't controlled by them. It seems that Elon doesn't really care about this and still allows Chinese propaganda to run rampant on X. He even took off the Chinese affiliated state media labels that were there to warn people against CCP misinformation and their bogus propaganda. He's doing this under the guise of freedom of speech, and yet he continues to push a government's narrative that doesn't even grant its own people the right to freely express themselves. I wonder what Elon thinks about the fact that his customers are not allowed to freely access his website. I wonder if he actually believes in freedom of speech. Well, I guess he does, because he's freely talking crap about Taiwan without even thinking about the consequences. But that's the thing, you see. There are no consequences for what Elon said, because the Taiwanese government and the people of Taiwan are not little snowflakes. They're not little snowflakes like the CCP and the Chinese nationalists. Sure, it's pretty annoying to constantly have ill-informed morons saying that your country is a part of some weird North Korean kind of dictatorship, but the people of Taiwan have heard this kind of nonsense over and over again to the point where it's just become normal. No, Taiwan won't be banning Tesla anytime soon. because Elon Musk hurt the feelings of the Taiwanese people. In fact, despite all of the crap that Elon said about Taiwan, Taiwan is still a huge customer for him. Taiwanese people still use Twitter. X. I've got to stop doing that. Anyway, they still use X, and there's still a huge market for Tesla. Tesla sales are through the roof in Taiwan, and Tesla are the dominant player in the electric vehicle market, accounting for 75% of all EV sales. Elon knows this, and he knows that he can say what the hell he wants about Taiwan and still sell his cars there. He's lucky that he insulted Taiwan and not China, because I tell you what, if Elon publicly states that Taiwan isn't a part of China, which is true by the way, then he can kiss his Tesla sales goodbye. Yeah, luckily for Elon, Taiwan isn't China, and even though he said all of this awful stuff about the wonderful country of Taiwan, the Taiwanese people will still buy Elon's Teslas. And I think that's a bit of a shame really, because maybe Taiwanese people not buying Elon's cars would be the wake-up call that Elon Musk deserves. Taiwan is not a part of China.